So yesterday we had started with literacy. This class is digital media literacy. Those of you who have joined today. Okay, so we try to understand what is literacy and what is media literacy and how media literacy and digital literacy are three different yet interchangeable concepts. So when we talk about literacy, yet I could see that not all of you have understood it properly because there were also some faces having questions in their mind. So when we understand literacy, I'll say that it is a, you say, multi-layered concept. Literacy, it is not a standalone concept. It is also linked and connected concept, and it is not simply uh, understand this concept cannot be understood with the help of only tool or technology. You see, when you wish to understand literacy in a broader way, it is important to understand where this literacy is situated. That means it is also an embedded concept. So we might have two perspectives to understand literacy. Two perspectives. First is the very autonomous perspective to understand literacy. Okay, autonomous perspective, that means the individual perspective. So nobody has given this perspective. I'm just telling you that this is also one way to understand literacy. Autonomous perspective. You know, the autonomy is the very independence of yourself, your autonomy, your right to do, right to think in your own way. So that autonomous perspective will define literacy in such a way that literacy is all about encoding and decoding text, which will help to improve your thinking. So that's how we understand literacy. Okay, so if the course is digital media literacy, so you need to understand what is literacy. The very first question, what is literacy? It's a multi-layered concept. It is a cognitive skill. Yesterday I told you it's a cognitive skill. It is related to our cognition. It is a mental construct. Mental construct supported by four elements, and those four elements are also told yesterday. Those four elements are physical artifact, which will determine the reality. One is the physical artifact or the tools, artifacts or the tools, and then you have the very content, text, messages, right? Format, format, actor himself, and the social support mechanism. So you actually see, when you understand literacy, these four elements will help you understand literacy better. One is the physical artifacts, that will be tool and technology with the help of which you can understand literacy. I have the mic that is also helping me to spread my voice in an extended way. This is a whiteboard. Yeah, come. This is a whiteboard. We have the marker. These are tools, some tools. So it is also facilitating that literacy concept. Okay. And literacy, as I have already told you, you can understand it from autonomous perspective. One is this autonomous perspective. That means it is simply decoding and encoding text. So whatever you will find in textbook, so you will decode it. An author has encoded the meaning, so you will be decoding the meaning. Okay, and it will enhance your thinking when we decode the meaning of any concept, any phenomenon you pick from your textbook. It will help you to understand it better because you will align it with other literacies. Now, let me tell you why it is multi-layered concept, why it is not a standalone single concept. Because when you talk about literacy, it is not about multimedia literacy, visual literacy, digital media literacy, or media literacy. We can also talk of is a functional literacy, religious literacy, workplace literacy. Okay, these are different. types of literacy which are embedded in the social system. Now you see, we also have an, another perspective. This is called ideological perspective. So apart from autonomous perspective, it says that it is independent of self. You simply understand the meaning of the text. You can relate to ideology, you may not relate, but definitely it will enhance your thinking. So it has an outcome. It also shows an outcome. It says that it is an encoding and decoding of text. But here in ideological perspective, we'll say that literacy is situated in broader social, economic, political, and cultural contexts. So it is embedded in that context. So whenever you encode something in a message, so your ideological bias creep in, okay, and that might affect the reader, and that will affect, not might, that will affect the reader. Because ideological biasness, subjectivity, I'll not say bias, bias may be a wrong word, but that is also equivalent to subjectivity. So that author subjectivity will creep in when they elaborate on word, and the reader will read it. So when they interpret and decode the text, you might also say that ideology is embedded, or you might simply say that it is independent of ideology. It has also enhanced my objective lens of looking at things. Okay, so in that way, you can understand literacy. But when you have to have a better understanding of literacy, you are supposed to have this element. So we talk about print literacy. Initially, we have print literacy. Prior to print literacy, we see prior to printing press and all, from where we the Renaissance in during 15th century, we have that Gutenberg press. We actually started with that print literacy and that mass circulation of newspaper. Prior to it, there were some newsletters. Okay, those were also written newsletters, and some port bulletins, which were also circulated during medieval period, as well as during like that ancient period in China, and even Roman period. There are some, you see, circulations of handwritten bulletins. So so that itself is a tool. So when we're talking about the cave era and all, so cave itself and writing something in that cave, that is also a tool. So when you use a stone to write on the cave, that is a tool. Okay, that also send a message. So it is all about creating a message and communicating something. So literacy has a relation to communication because it is intended to communicate a meaning. Right. And that too with the help of physical artifact. So without the help of physical artifact, it can be possible, but it may not be that expanded. It may not be mass based. We also say that it is for the masses. If we are talking about the mass, we need to have a channel, amplification of our voices. Like this mic will amplify my voices if you want to reach many people. If I want to, my target is only two or three, then interpersonal communication will suffice. But in interpersonal domain also there is a literacy. How you communicate, that is a literacy. How you communicate to the person in front of you. Huh. And regarding, and it is not regardless. You can also say regardless of status, regardless of hierarchy, regardless of gender, but you consider gender, consider ethnicity, consider other subjectivities that are there in your mind, you communicate to the person. Okay, so that is also a literacy. We call it interpersonal literacy, call it interpersonal communication at the same time. Okay, so here we see from this two very perspective we understand literacy, and then we have the physical artifact, various tools, then audio visual tool, audio visual in the sense we have a radio, then we have podcast, that is also a medium through which we can send a message, we can create a message, we can make a drama, and in an episodic way we can also uh, uh, broadcast it, or you can even make it on air through broadcast. Either we broadcast it via radio or make it on air through podcast, like that way. So we have something to tell. Okay, that is also literacy. So I have my pen, pencil. So all kind of the tools are related to physical artifact, help to enhance the literacy. Content, text, and the message. So it is all about the story, what you have to say. So that's very important. And where we actually find our ideological biases, the kind of text, kind of content, kind of substances. Okay, so that is very important that you will deal with it when we discuss about, you say, AI literacy. We discuss about social media literacy. We discuss about news literacy. It is all about content, understanding the content. Okay, understanding the message. Who are being represented in the message? Whose voices are being represented in the message is very important. Whose voices are being intentionally omitted from the message? Okay, whose voices are being supported in that particular message? Be it an article, be it a documentary film, be it a video or a radio drama, whose voices are being represented by the director, by the author, by the journalist, by the reporter. Okay, and hence it is very important to understand the content, because content has certain conventions and the code when they deal with the artifact. Code and convention related to artifact and related to space. When you say space, this is also space. It has got its own conventions because it is actually noise free. Okay, and but it will also restrict your movement. You cannot sit ideally. You cannot stretch your leg like that way because it restricts your movement in that way because it has a different kind of sitting arrangement, right? So the space has its own decorum, its own convention. Okay, but at home you can sit idle, you can stretch your leg. You can also you lean back and then you can read something. So that's your own space, personal space, right? So that will also determine how messages are being framed and how audiences are being decided, who are being targeted. Okay, so it's very, very important to understand the content, text, and messages, and codes and conventions associated with the messages. How it is related to even physical artifacts. Suppose physical artifacts is the camera. In a documentary, we usually see, in a film, we see that certain shots are taken from high angle in order to show the person very minimal or minuscule in terms of this power and all. Okay, so you see that, and just because of the camera angle, you try to perceive it in that way. So now your interpretation of the message and the director's or the camera person interpretation may not be same, but to certain extent there is, you see that there is a equilibrium of understanding what they are saying and what we are getting. Okay, and you see there is a close up somebody's face, you will find that somebody is crying, so camera will move closer and closer just to focus on his or her emotions and create a kind of dramatic effect. Okay, that's how it is related to artifact. So there is a message. That message is also emotions, human interest. So when you make the stories, you will try to link more with the human interest. Okay, what interest human? Emotions, drama. Okay, then our ambitions, our anger, our happiness, sorrow, everything are related to human interest. And when you talk about the construction of the message, we say construct. Message are being constructing or creating. We construct because of ideologies and subjectivities pouring. It is pouring that message. And hence, when we talk of message construction or message creation, it is also related to how we use the artifact. How effectively you use the artifact in order to design a message to an intended audience. Now you say intended audience. So you also need to find out your intended audience, not audience, intended. Whom you want to deliver. You want to deliver as a creator, as a producer of message is important. So this is a literacy construct, let me tell you. Literacy construct, literacy concept. When I'm speaking to you, I'm intended to deliver something to you. My target is you. My target is you. Right. So because I'm intended to deliver my message to you. Right. So if and intended to deliver a message to to students of sociologic background, students of linguistics background. Okay, so I'll say how they could relate it to it. Okay, so in that way, when you write a story or you create a story, uh, any story, you also write an article, you write a hard news, soft news. These are some of the terminologies comes under media literacy. Okay, so when you say that I'm media literate, we understand some of the terminologies. We understand how to create a message for the intended audience. I understand how one message which are already been constructed or numerous messages which are already been constructed represent whose voice, whose domain, whose space. Okay, so that is important. So it is also very important how to navigate the meaning apart from constructing the meaning. So it is more about navigating the meaning. When you talk about the literacy and media literacy, so we are moving from literacy to media literacy again. So it is all about navigating the meaning of the messages, of the stories, of the media output products. How you navigate the meaning, apart from constructing the product, produce a message, produce a story. Okay, this is important. And then we talk about the format. What kind of format? Is it an essay? Is it a feature article? Simply a report, or it's a hard news report or soft report? Okay, it's a documentary. It's a short form video. Okay, it's a photograph. It's a photo story. So there are different formats in media. Hmm. So format is there. Format is also a kind of decorum. But from media literacy point of view, format is equivalent to what technology you use and technology induced format. What tool you use, that will determine the kind of format that you have. Okay? Then we have the actor. Actor itself is the creator. You all are actor. We all are actor, regardless of having our background, from which background we are, because now we belong to digital first generation. So even become a journalist also, you don't need to have a license. If you have that acumen, if you have keen interest to write, you can become a journalist. Also degree matters, but there are various local outlets. You can open a local outlet and become a journalist. You don't need a license, you don't need a degree actually like a doctor and a lawyer, let me tell you. Okay, what you need to know is to regulate yourself. You know the self regulation, the importance of self regulation, and also the safeguard and protection of freedom of expressions and human rights. That's important. Now, in this era, let me tell you, because we have moved from an era which is dominated by mainstream journalism. They have their own decorum, own constraint. Lot of constraints were there, but we have moved with the advent of digital technologies, with the proliferation of digital technologies. We've moved to an era. So even an influencer, they can have better interpretation than a government house. So when you find a doctored video in government website, how can you think that a government website will provide you the genuine information? That is also a question nowadays. Okay, and hence I'm telling you that everybody could be creator. Everybody is creator. So we are in an era of prosumer. We produce, we consume. So earlier producers were different and consumers were different. So we produce, somebody else will consume, and it is made for somebody else to consume. Okay. Then we have the social support mechanism. Yesterday we have discussed about social support mechanism. It's all about affordances. Affordances in the sense that you need to have um, financial security to go for higher education and also to access to high level technology. We are talking about digital access. You might have access to technology, you might not have that connections, internet connection. You might not possess a device, but you see that connections are there everywhere. So there you actually support, there you get to find the importance of social support mechanism. Your parents may not support you go and you see work even and earn another literacy or you get another degree. Okay, so that is a social support mechanism. So you belong to a community, belong to an ethnicity, belong to religions. Your community may not support you to earn a literacy. Here I'm talking about literacy again, a different literacy. Suppose you talk about, I'm telling you, no, workplace literacy is different. Your indigenous literacy is also different. There is indigenous and local literacy different from, you see, when you speak an indigenous language that is related to your identity, but when you speak English that is something related to again power and hegemony. Why it is so? Because of our belief system, because we have created that, because our minds are colonized in such a way that we think in that way. We are being backwarded by uh, Britishers. So we are meant to think in that way. But reading, writing English has a relation to hegemony and the power because it will provide us economic mobility. That is the reason. Now, economic mobility is important. What is economic mobility? Job prospect. Jobs are available. Yeah. So you don't want to bound yourself in these regions. You want certain job and you want to even explore a job outside this region. So English will be helpful. It is related to your power and hegemony because that's a concept has created by English people. With Macaulay minutes, they want us to be Indian in blood and color and English in thought process because that's what English people wanted us to behave like, right? So we are Indian in blood and color, but we have to behave like English in thought process. Okay, so that is related to their power, aligning to their power. Okay, so aligning to their subjectivity again. So it is not related to our identity. So when we are talking about our indigenous language, be it Assamese, Bengali, and Boro, your Khasi, Manipuri, these are some of the indigenous languages related to our identity. Again, this is also a power from decolonial perspective. This is our power. You can speak, but how much economic mobility it can create is again questionable. Okay, so hence social support mechanism is required. That support may come from government, that support may come from other institutions in the society, that support may come from universities, schools, religious bodies, NGOs, help us or understanding one concept better, communicate with people from different geography, different place, in a better way. So that support is required, or even communicate among the community members in a better way. That support is required. That support should come from government policy. That support should come from whom? From the very family background, from the very school background. Okay, from the college and institutional background. And hence literacies are literacy, the concept literacy. Literacy is associated with all these elements, and all these elements are better uh, facilitator of the concept called literacy. Okay, so we have multi construct dimension of literacy, not a single construct. So if I say that we are talking only of digital literacy, so you might also think that it has narrowed down the media literacy concept. yes, to a certain extent, it might narrow down, but no, it will add additional layer to even media literacy concept. So when we are talking about print literacy, it's all about understanding what is written in press, in newspaper. Not everybody can understand what is written in newspaper, especially those who have only functional literacy. Yesterday I told you, functional literacy is also very important to manage the work, even for economic mobility. Functional literacy, which is not sufficient literacy. This is the very basic literacy, but not sufficient. काम चलाओ type, चल जाता है काम. This is called functional literacy. Insufficient ability to read, write. But when you say literacy, that is a sufficient ability to read, write, speak, and listen. That is called literacy. Sufficient ability to read, write, speak, and listen. So that you can think on what is being told and then you can respond to. Okay? So, you understood what is being communicated? So, this is about literacy. If you have any question, you can ask. Any questions do you have? So, after that, we will find out some of the literacies. As I have told you that there are multiple literacies, but here I will not uh, uh, expand my lecture incorporating those religious literacy. That is another form of literacy. You said a Quranic literacy, Sanskrit literacy. It is all about memorization and the recitations. Many a time literacy is restricted to memorization and recitation also. Some of the verses. Not everybody can do that. Okay, so if you see people, my oldies, our oldies, my grandmother, grandfather, they're well versed in telling those mythologies, right? So they do have that oral traditions, so that is also passed on to them from generation to generation. Okay, so they learn something and they listen to something from their parents, and they are well versed in it. So that is a kind of literacy related to mythology, which has been passed orally. Okay, so you see that that's a literacy. That Sanskrit is also a literacy. That's a different literacy altogether. But here we actually see a literacy from media angle. Okay, from media means a technology at the same time. It stand at the middle. What is stand at the middle? A channel generated literacy. Okay, channel generated literacy, channel which will amplify your voice, channel which will help you to reach to the intended audience, a channel which will uh, channel which has the capacity to even change the society, a channel which you see express itself as the fourth estates of democracy. Talk about the fourth estate. So media stands as the fourth estate of democracy. Or you don't know. We have the three organs of government, executive, legislature, and judiciary. And media is the fourth estates. These are the three estates, and media acts as the fourth estates of democracy. And hence, it is important to understand how you use this channel. Okay, so in digital media literacy, so what yesterday also I have introduced a bit about those different forms of literacy. First is the computer literacy, which is very important. Second is the information literacy. Okay. Third is C and C. That is called computer mediated communication literacy. That is called computer mediated communication literacy. Okay. Fourth one is news literacy. Very important. Fifth one is social media literacy. Sixth one, AI. AI literacy. Seven, data literacy. Eight, privacy literacy. Nine, visual literacy. Okay. So, so we will be dealing with all these forms of literacies here in our classes. In upcoming days, we'll be dealing with this very forms of literacies. These are various forms of literacies which will be studying under digital media literacy. One is computer literacy. Second one is information literacy. Third one is computer mediated communication literacy. Computer mediated communication literacy is different from computer literacy. How? I'll be telling you. Then news literacy, very, very important. News literacy, understanding news. Okay. Then social media literacy. It is important just because you find yourself, you say it's 70% of the day in social media and WhatsApp. Okay, in communicating with others, sharing things. Okay, so even in Facebook, in Twitter, so in even in watching a video in YouTube. So you find yourself in social media. So we will try to understand yourself, your perception in social media, and what you generate, what you create, what you like, what you share. Okay, and what is your perception about others' post, and what you post, what you should post, and what you post. So everything. Okay. Then AI literacy is very important. When we talk about the algorithm determines everything nowadays. So you see that in your social media, you get to find some messages, some news, some pictures more often. Then the one of your friends who always try to find different messages, different pictures, different images. Why? Because of the algorithm. Because algorithm always captures your engagement. Algorithm captures your likes, dislikes, your preferences, your engagement, because there is an engagement matrix that the algorithm will determine. So if those algorithms will, those are bots actually. It's a machine generated bot. They will try to find out uh, your likings, your preferences from the post you share, from the post you like, and based on that, they will generate similar posts which will suitable to your preferences or align to your preferences. So in that way, they will create a like-minded group of, like, similar stories, similar pictures. So these are algorithm driven. Your engagement is determined by algorithm, because they also know that you will click on this definitely because of your disposition, predisposition and disposition in the sense that your attitude, your behavior, your belief system. You have a belief system which is disposed in you, and that will determine your preferences, and hence you will behave in certain way. You will like this post. They know, algorithm will know, and algorithm will push certain messages, stories to you, and you will click it, and click will generate. It will again, it will create a ranking of those websites. It will generate advertising. Like that way, we are driven by algorithms and ranking nowadays. Not necessarily that each and every article uh, is worthy enough to get that much like at times. You see, there are some articles, there are some pictures, some photographs, some videos generate so many millions of likes. But if I read the substance of those articles, those videos, the content, then I can find that actually there is nothing. Just because it is algorithm driven, people will see sensation will always attract everyone. So what is happening? They will look for it. What is happening? I'll also click. I'll also click. So many a time, what we also see that I'll click, but I'll not watch the whole story. I'll not read the whole article, but I'll click. So that click will also generate viewers or readers. In that way, it will get high rank. Okay. So everything is algorithm driven. So hence you need to know AI literacy, and then you have data literacy, which is very, very important. Data literacy, yesterday I told you, it's all about statistics. It's all about surveys. How you translate data into actionable knowledge. Translate data into information, then information into actionable knowledge. There are data everywhere. Hmm. Election campaign data. You see that, data on uh, uh, women in custody for last 10 years. How many women are there in custody? There might be data generated on numbers of you see domestic violence has taken place in last 5 years in one locality in police records. Okay, there might be data on, you say, number of communal violences occurred in last 15, 20 years. Okay, in one location, one geography, or in different geography or across India, there might be data. Okay, so datas are there. So datas are there. So what you are supposed to do is to translate into information. So your data is there. You will translate it into information, then actionable actionable knowledge, the kind of policy and all. So you're here talking about the importance of policy making. So your report can contribute making a policy, put a pressure on the government to come up with a policy. Okay, so that is important. So data literacy is important, and then we have privacy literacy. So it's very important nowadays when we are in online, because every time when you use an app, we send lot of information to the company unknowingly, or sometimes knowingly also we share information, because when you click allow to get access to camera, get access to videos, get access to documents, get access to your downloads and other medias. So you actually allow them to get access to your personal information while using any application online, right? And hence it is related to privacy. So privacy, understanding privacy is very important, and that's a part of digital media literacy. So, in order to be more socialized, okay, why do you use that app? Hmm. Perhaps to socialize, perhaps to buy something, perhaps to get access to some of the services, existing services of the government. Right. You are you are using a particular applications. There is a reason behind it. Reason is that maybe you want to socialize more with friends. You are using one networking applications, and you allow that network to access to all your personal information, your date of birth, that your location, uh, apart from your name, your email ID, your personal phone number, and then media, then documents, everything you have given access to, thinking that you are using the app and you will socialize more. But in a way, your privacy, that those information are very private to you, private information. Hmm. So are being stolen, are being taken away by those applications. Using any service, any application you install. So in in place of giving you that service, they will take something from you. Apart from money, something can be viable also. Some applications will not provide service without spending a penny. So you spend a penny, you also submit your personal applications. Those personal. information. Those information will be shared by them to advertisers. Then advertisers will always again will come up with um, their ads. Okay, and that's how we are actually we are. You said that we are rolling around in digital world. So we see that we are giving our information, somebody is taking those information, are being stolen, that information are being sold to someone, and someone again come and contact us with that with some other intention. Okay, to even sell a service, to make us uh, get appealed by that service, like that. So it is all related to privacy. Then we have the visual literacy. It is all about understanding the uh, understanding a photograph, understanding the picture, what picture uh, denotes. Okay, understanding the caption even, understanding the color, understanding the movement, understanding the characters, plot, sequences, angle, perspective. Okay, which is very very important. Because when you say digital media literacy, it is about multimedia literacy. So there is a multimodal format. Multimodal different like medias are amalgamated. Audio, visual, text. You see that different mode, different mediums are amalgamated, and it will help you to understand any text, any message in a better way. And hence we call it digital media. And digital, we simply, and everything is converted to 1 and 0 in two binaries. Okay, instead of one, uh, that's what break free signal. So each and every signals are converted to 1 and 0. That is digital. That's how we understand. But here we will not go that technical. Okay, we will discuss what comes under this digital media literacy. Now you see, we will discuss about computer and information. Okay, so when you say computer, yesterday I told you it is all about hardware literacy. It's fine. You're getting what I'm trying to communicate. Do you have any questions? Okay. In AC room, you will also feel sleepy, and it's quite obvious. But you see, it's always better because this class is also extended uh, class, for 2 hours, and hence this room is better. And we also have that sitting area, that some issues are there in the classroom, right? So perhaps this room will be better, but don't sleep and try to concentrate. And if you have water bottle with you, so you also have water. Okay, so try to be conscious what I'm speaking, although it is being recorded. So you also try to listen and try to make yourself conscious enough while listening, and drink some water so that you feel afresh and you again get back to the class. Okay, so computer. So computer literacy, it is about understanding the hardware part. Yesterday I told you. So it is all about how to switch on a computer, how to open a file, how to even browse. Okay, how to browse. But it is related to hardware and software part. It is not related to content and information part. How you operate an applications, how we install an application from Play Store, how you open a social networking site, huh, uh, uh, knowing how to post, okay, knowing how to log in, having an email ID are all computer literacy. It is about having the knowledge of the tools and technologies. I'll say computer literacy. Very brief understanding of computer literacy. We'll be dealing more about it in another class when we will be discussing about the history of computer and digital media technologies. Okay? We'll move to information literacy. Now, I will wipe it out because I need to write more about information literacy. So, it's a part of digital media literacy. So, computer itself is a part of digital media literacy. In information literacy, we need to discuss about AW. AW is all about, you see, yesterday watching, wondering, waving, wiggling, waving, wrapping, this, identify, explore, select, organize, then create, then assess, and apply. Okay. Okay. This is about information literacy. We can better understand with the AWs. Okay. It's a very important literacy because this information literacy will be connected to news literacy at the same time. Research literacy, critical thinking literacy. That is another literacy. Academic literacy. We talk about academic literacy. So not everyone has academic literacy. We'll see. Reading a peer-reviewed research paper, interpret the meaning is different from having a conversation in chat room. So there are few people who can be very adept in having a conversation in chat room, but find it difficult to read a paper. Okay, so there might be higher order or lower order, but I'm not going to create hierarchies like this way because there are different literacies and I will accept each and every literacies in its unique form and in its own space. Okay. So, when we talk about information literacies, it is all about how to retrieve information, how to identify a problem, hmm, how to use search engine, how to decide which search engine will be better or which search tool will be better, how to find relevant databases, and then how will you extract out those information. You also organize and synthesis and combine the information, then you create something, you present something, and then you evaluate and have a reflection on it. Okay, understood. So first you say that in AWs, first W is watching. It is all about you watch what's in your surrounding, you observe. So it wants you to observe first. Observe the behavior. Observe the space. Observe the people. Observe the objects which are there in one room. And by observing, you will learn a lot of things. You will develop a perception. You can identify a problem with the help of observation, right observation. Because observation will help you build your perception. So if you observe things, it will help you build a perception. What is there, what is not, who is being omitted in the group, who is present in the group, who is absent in the group. Okay. So what they are talking, you start a conversation with your friends and you get an idea. That is also from participant observation, we call it. You participate. Hmm. And you also observe. or you may not even take part, but yeah, you are there, you observe, non-participant observation, or you participate, you take part in any kind of conversation, and you get an idea, generate an idea, but you actually find out a problem, a social problem, a social issue might have been discussed. Suppose this might be an issue related to uh, lack of hospital facilities in Pachmile area. So you're discussing, okay, then you find that there is actually a hospital in the nearby areas, but the structure is there, okay, but there is no uh, infrastructure. And then when structure is there, there is no logistic infrastructure, equipments, okay, and there is no manpower also, but there is structure, okay. So you discuss things with your friends and you try to find out where is the problem. So that comes from watching and observing. So you identify the problem from watching. Then second step is wondering. In wondering, you will question. You'll raise some questions. Hmm. So question is that you say that okay, there are hospitals. How many hospitals might be there in that locality? Where people usually move if they come across any kind of diseases. Hmm. So where are the available doctors? Okay, so you wonder. So you open your mind and then you ask question to yourself. Okay. Then you move to webbing. Webbing is all about networking. We call it webbing. It's all about networking. So here you will actually try to find out information, and you try to find out uh, different sources. What could be possible sources which will help you mm, get the information. Okay, so you see that from health ministry's website you will get some information related to recent policies and number of coverage, etc. You can get some information from the some panchayat office, that might be locally relevant source, okay. And you might get some information from from this from directorate of health and social welfare, okay. Some data you might have got. And you might also get some information from peers peers of the communities, those who are opinion maker, by interviewing, okay. And you get information from report, from even websites, from even journals, okay. So that's how you put retrieve information. Then wiggling means you will narrow down the sources. So once you network, so you will at that stage you will be a bit confused. In wiggling, you will be more focused, because once you get the information, now we'll be sorting out. There is also waving, but waving is different from wiggling. You will sorting out informations, and based on the available information, you will look for more information. So, hence, this wiggling and wiggling are different yet similar. So first, you were confused, and you also try to find out available information in libraries, in existing databases, in website, two website you have visited. So whatever you have found, you have downloaded. Okay, so you visit Directorate of Social Health and Social Welfare, that the Department of Health and Social Welfare. So you also try to find out some information. You talk to Panchayat office, you talk to Gaon Burha, you talk to people of the locality, you try to extract some information. So you have got means so many sources. Now, how to find out which source are relevant to make a story, or to write an essay, write a research paper, write an article, or make a poster, you say, or make a presentation. So that is basically the outcome for which we require, right? Then we talk about wiggling. You select some of the sources. You again we call recharge. Okay, we call it researching. Your recharge. research, you will recharge again. Then we wave. Wave means you will now, whatever you will get out of wiggling, you will wave. Wave means you combine, synthesis, all this information. We are waving. This is a very beautiful word, waving. Waving the information. Then you wrapping up this information. This is the final product, your presentation, your outcome, your posters, whatever. And then you wave. Wave means sharing. Okay. This wave means, okay, hi, can I you share? You communicate your presentation, your essay, your article to others. You share it with others. That is called wave. And then whistling. Whistling is about the reflection. What have you learned? What have you learned? What are the challenges you have come across? Whether some time have been wasted uh, looking for irrelevant sources. Okay. Um, whether you have actually picked out the right person at right time or not. Okay, it is all about reflections and how benefits are being calculated. So kind of benefits that your story could generate for the society. So that is we see. It is about reflection and how you can apply your existing knowledge to another project. This is also about we see. Okay, so these 8 W's are very important for information literacy. This will help you to identify a problem. So when you watch everywhere, okay, you be very observant of the situation. Then it will help you to identify the problem. Then in second stage you will explore. In third stage again you will select those information here. Then you organize the information, whatever being selected through searches, and then you will create a story, create a news article, create a hard story, soft story, feature article, or a political piece, article on financial security or whatever, and on the documentary, a photograph, photo story, so poster, whatever you create. But prior to create the stages that you pass through is important. Then you will assess. Assess is again the reflection, and you apply. Okay. So this phase is related to empowerment. We call it empowered. So you have critical thinking. You have the opportunity to um, critically look into the situation. Okay. When you say critically, you look into the situation. When in waving and wiggling, you know the sources, but you will actually try to find out whether the sources are relevant or not. So, how critical thinking is important, we'll be discussing in news literacy. Okay, because in news literacy also you'll go through the similar stages. So, when you make a news for digital platform, you'll have to go through the similar stages. So you will actually identify the URL, then you will find out whether this URL is genuine URL or not. Even in terms of curbing misinformation, I'll say that you see that being an agent of fact checking, we want student to be fact checker. So every time you get an information, you check it, cross check it, fact check it. There are fact checking platforms through which you can fact check of the information, or else you try to find out whether this source is relevant, information is correct, not manipulated, not misleading. And these are some of the steps which also involve when you try to do the fact check, you try to do try to find out the existing misinformation or disinformation or disorder in the society. Yesterday I told you, no, about that WhatsApp messages which lead to lynching. More than 20 plus, even some newspaper coverage will say 100 plus people um, died, and died in the sense that they're being murdered because of a WhatsApp message related to kidnapping that resulted lynching of those people. because earlier you can send a message to 250 groups. A message would be sent to 250 group prior to 2018. Hmm. Then when you see that WhatsApp message are being sent and circulated in such a way without having any focus, any emphasis on digital literacy, whether those people who are sending the messages are literate enough to understand the content we are here. It is again the content aspect. Understand the message, understand the content, understand the source who is disseminating the message. Part of digital media literacy. They're simply sending the message that has resulted, you see, rumors among the communities and lead to lynching of people. In Karbi Anglong also, that we have that incident that the two person that Abhijit and what's his name, if you could remember. Sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Neil and Abhi. Yeah, they. So that is. So you see, it's all because of the works messages. Yeah. So it's being circulated, and why it is being circulated? Just because people are not literate enough to understand the veracity of the information, right? And hence, it is important to understand the source. Who is sending the message? Sometimes I get a message that you might also get a message that if you put 1 rupee, you will get 50 lakhs. If you click on this link, you will get 50 lakhs. That kind of messages are also circulated. And even one day I received a message that government has announced that you will get like around 50 lakhs on 1 crore if you, and to know more, click on this link. Okay, who is sending me? Sometimes you see that there is so much of manipulation even in the link that it seems it has come from a genuine government organization, but that is actually that falls under the phishing attack. Okay, site is being masqueraded. The government site is being masqueraded. That so we are like finding ourselves in such an era that doctored videos, deep fakes are like circulating everywhere. Fakes and rumor. That is fakes in the sense everywhere you will find a fabricated message, fake messages, fake newses. So how to uh, find yourself insulated from that doctored images and deepfakes and videos and behave in a literate way is very important. And hence, we are trying to give importance to digital media literacy and especially the information literacy because it's very important. It will help you to think critically, help you to understand the sources, help you to carry out some research. Okay, instead of leisurely sending or sharing a message, because that's what we usually do. We don't check the source who is coming, and trust factor also involved. My friend is sharing, okay, I'll also share. Huh. And when I sometimes I ask my friend, from where have you got this? Yeah, my friend has shared with me. So it's see the kind of loop has been created. He said that, or she said, my friend has shared with me, and they will say, my friend, my relative has said. Okay, so it has created a kind of chain, human chain in sharing that messages. Okay, and trust factor is associated with our personal relation because if somebody close to us is sharing, so definitely it's believable. Content is believable. We think in that way, but that is not a part of digital media literacy. It is all about thinking twice, thrice, and cross check. Okay, and it's important to understand about information literacy. Then we'll move to CMC briefly. Briefly, I'm talking about CMC. CMC means computer mediated communication literacy. Computer literacy is knowing about hardware and software, how to run an application, how to install an applications, how to open a file, how to work on a software, maybe computer literacy. Right? will be computer literacy. Then computer mediated communication is communication which is mediated through computer. WhatsApp is also a computer mediated communication. Facebook, computer mediated communication. That this computer mediated communication is equivalent to even social media literacy. But when you social media, social aspect is there. Social engineering. Social engineering doctored videos, deepfakes are also there. Okay, so that social concept is there that will make it different from computer again, that is technology generated, technologically determined mediated content. That may be bot generated content also. But here you see that social media, so social engineering concept will come that we will distinguish and understand in one class. But social media literacy is a bit different from computer mediated literacy. Communication literacy. Computer mediated communication literacy find reflection in, you see, chat, WhatsApp, conversational chat. You take shorthand. So I many time I don't understand when you take shorthand. You'll say okay goodbye GD like that way, good night like that way. Put, and also there are some like uh, letters which communicate something, but that is a literacy at the same time. So when you compose a video and you see that people often say in our academic circle also, it is said that the students have conversational skill. They know how to carry out the shorthand, the texting shorthand, or how to make a videos, but they don't know how to read a paper. So whether they are literate, yeah, they are also literate, because when they make a video, they do have the knowledge of composing a video and interpreting. So interpretative, uh, like understanding, knowledge, that is how to interpret a situation, interpret a case, interpret any cause of one phenomenon is there, and hence that interpretation skill will help you to make a video. Compose it, you make video, you edit it, you post it. Not everybody can do it. Okay, so good at it just because you are aligned to technology. Okay, but yeah, that is not equivalent to academic literacy. That a conversational literacy. So you also find, so that will automatically be learned with the help of technology. Okay, so because you are there in a WhatsApp, somebody is also start a conversation with certain text. So you will also try to mimic, and accordingly will learn it quickly. 2 hours in chat room, like make you understand this computer mediated communication in that chat room. How people are behaving, how people are, what messages they are circulating, how people are communicating. So that's enough. But 2 hours may not be sufficient reading a, academic journal, an article published in a peer-reviewed journal. So if you straightway come from computer mediated communication to even you see this reading a journal, but if you can switch in between, that's a different skill. That's a competency. And many students, many, like you see, um, mm, from your age are switching this mode very quickly. Okay, they are masters in everything. Like they it's not like a jack of all fruits and master of, it's not. They can make a video. They can also carry out this text shorthand, and they're good at interpreting an academic journal article. Even they can interpret a video, interpret a camera angle, so everything they try to, you see, that embrace. So that's the highest level of literacy if you can master everything. Okay, so that's computer mediated communication literacy. Then we'll move to news literacy, which is also important, I would say. So you see that in news literacy, what is important? What is news first? We call 5 W's 1 H's. 5 W's 1 H will make a news. 5 W's and 1 H. What are the 5 W's? Any understanding you might have? What are the 5 W's I'm talking of? And 1 H will make a news. It is about what has happened. What has happened? When it has happened. Where it has happened. Who are involved. Is it? And which place, which situation is involved. And then how. How it has happened. Or no, which not. Why. Why it has happened. Okay. So what has happened, then when it has happened, then where it has happened, that is the location, which is very important. When the time is important. What, the very basic fact, what has happened, something is happening. First question, what has happened, right? That's the very first question you will come. So then you will ask when it has happened. Time is important. Where it has happened, okay, any event has occurred, where it has happened, who are involved in that incident, okay. So that is important. And why it has happened, that is the very cause. Okay. Then how it has happened, how could it has happened. Okay. So when we talk of this 5W18, this will make a news. And in news, we think a lot about the 5 C's also. There are 5 C's. These 5 C's will be represented like we have the content, then creation or creator. You have context, circulation, and consumption. Okay, so these 5 C's are associated with news. So after 5 W's, 1 H, you also have 5 C's. It's about the content. So which will help you identify the quality news from fake and misinformation or disinformation. That is the content. Creation is about the role of journalist. Understanding that you are a journalist or understanding your role as a journalist and how you are going to serve the society. Okay, and the purpose you have as a journalist, which will help you to serve the society. Then context means when you are actually discussing about production of the news, the kind of legal constraint that you might have, and how you locate yourself in the socio-economic political uh, ecosystem, because we are here talking about the newsroom. Hmm. So there is also editorial pressure. Okay, there will be pressure from even like finance section, financial pressure. There will be a pressure from even proprietors. Okay, there might be pressure from political parties. Okay, and you have your own routine, which can also pressurize you. There will be pressure from sources. Everything will determine the context. So the kind of legal constraint that you need to know, that you cannot use some images, gory images cannot be used. You cannot write in such a way that will incite violence and communalism. Okay, and you cannot use certain words. Okay, Harijan word. You cannot post a picture of a victim girl. Okay, who is being molested or raped or something. So these are some of the code of conduct or standard you are supposed to follow as a journalist. And hence, that will determine the legal constraint and that will be studied in the context. Okay, so kind of ratio that will determine what you were trying to disseminate. Then circulation is important. Circulation is all about distribution. It's about intended audience. Okay, so where you are going to circulate. So now when you have digital news, digital first newspapers are there. You have entertainment news like Pink Villa, Bollywood Hangama. You have also scrolling. You have food scrolling. Then you have this news laundry, Caravan, Article 14. These are digital first, digital native news websites. Apart from digital version of mainstream websites or mainstream news media, not website, mainstream news media. Suppose we have NDTV, Times Now. We also have News Live. So those are television channels, but they do have a digital wing. Okay. So where we will actually circulate that news is important. How it is being distributed. It is distributed online. It is distributed through print. It is also distributed even through broadcasting. Okay. So it is about the circulation. Consumption is all about who are intended audience and their selective exposure is important. Selective exposure and attention given to the news. So when a news is being created or made, story is being told, so you need to find out who will consume and the attention intended audience gives to a story. There is always selective exposure and selective ignorance also. Not each and everyone will like a political story. Not each and everyone will like an entertainment story. So it is also dependent on your predisposition, your prejudices, or what you like, what you prefer. Okay, based on your preferences, you will look for stories. You will give selective, um, you see, attention to certain stories, not all. And hence, these five C's are important. Apart from five W's, one is this is very basic of journalism, the very basic, very fundamental of journalism. So, if I tell you to write a story, first is the five W's and one H. You have to find out. Okay, so news literacy is important in that way. We also have. Okay, you are feeling sleepy. So in news literacy again, I'll tell you. Um, what is important, we call it the newsworthiness. It's very important to understand newsworthiness of one particular event. As I have already told you, it's not simply about creating a news, it is also understanding the news. Okay, it is navigating the news. So as a student from linguistics, from literature background, from sociology background, it is more important for you how to navigate news, how to navigate the meaning of the news. Okay, so it is important for you to understand the meaning, understanding the message which are being uh, sent to you or which are being represented by that newspaper. Very, very important. So, news is not simply creation. Why journalist has created, whose view, as I have told you, whose perspective, whose viewpoints are being represented. Okay, we often say that we have to, what? Yeah, come. We have to cover both sides of the story. So when you go for making a story, journalist is one journalist is supposed to cover both sides of the story. Both sides of the story in the sense that, so if something happen, suppose an accident occur, okay, so um, so there are victims. Okay, so there will be different actors and stakeholders in that particular story. Okay, so it is important from whose angle you will be covering, because of bad road, because of drunk driver, okay, and because of a problem related to infrastructures, okay, because of poor lighting, So lot many factors will impact, yeah, impact the, impact the occurrences. Okay, so you will have to cover all this side, but here why we are talking about both side, you have to delineate all this aspect into two very definite perspective, so that you can be more focused in reporting. And hence I'm telling you, you have to cover both sides of the story. Suppose somebody is being attacked, so you have to cover the victim's perspective as well as perpetrator's perspective. Okay, so both sides of the story you have to report to. Okay, so hence it is very important to understand some of the news element which will determine the news, and also the newsworthiness of the event. This is related to information literacy at the same time. Okay, so when we talk about the newsworthiness, you see this newsworthiness. What is newsworthiness? There are certain factors, certain elements. We see this timeliness. We call timeliness is related to newsworthiness. Second thing, we call proximity. Proximity. Third, recency. Okay. Fourth, oddity or weirdness. Fifth, prominence. So how timeliness will make a news worthy? Because you see that it is all about time. So anything happen in 24-hour cycle will make a news. So that's what a newspaper and you see that radio, television are doing. Anything happen in this 24 cycle will make a news. And we call it breaking news also. When breaking news will happen, anything happened recently, 5 minutes back, 20 minutes, 10 minutes back, will make a breaking news. Then anything happen, you see, 5 hours or 6 hours back. So breaking news, which is very recent one, we call it the breaking news, and it is related to this timeliness. Okay, so anything happened recently, and that will also related to the recency of any events that will make it news. It is equal. It is also related overlapping with recency. Then proximity. Suppose a bus wreck in Tezpur and killed 10 people. And a bus wreck in Uttarakhand killed 10 people, which will make a news in our regional headlines. In Tezpur one, the local one, because of the proximity. Okay, Assam flood will make headlines in Assamese newspaper, then Uttarakhand flood in Assamese newspaper because of the proximity, nearness. Okay, because of the nearness, we will go for Assam flood and that local incident. So proximity will make a news. Then recency, proximity, timeliness. We also have oddity. Oddity is important. Oddity means weirdness. You might have heard like, um, so that's what dog bites a man and man bites a dog. That's a news. You see, dog bites a man will not be a news, but man bites a dog. Okay, that means will be a news. So because of the weirdness involved, some weirdness is there, but it is also it brings the cultural sensitivity at one point of time, because there are some communities they also eat dog, but that might be also a shock for other communities. because that is very very specific to their locality, their ecosystem. There are no foods available, there is no they have to eat it, and there is some certain rituals that a pregnant woman are supposed to eat dog. Even in Naga community, it's a ritual kind of thing. So you have to be sensitive to the ethnic background at the same time, but that will make a news, right? Audit and relevance. Okay, prominence. Prominence is related to elite sources. Celebrity, some celebrity got an accident, met an accident. Okay, Alia Bhatt. You see that now Alia Bhatt and even Amitabh Bachchan are the, used in deepfake videos a lot. That is a different issue together. But celebrities, some celebrities made an accident. Some celebrities, uh, like you know, um, that went to abroad, will make a news because of the prominence. Even President of India announcing a scheme or announcing a policy, even Prime Minister of India announcing schemes and the policies will definitely make a news because of the prominence. Okay, so if I am doing something will not make a news because I'm not that prominent. Okay, so that's what. So like that way, we see certain incidents will make news, certain will not. So it's important to identify which incident will make news and which incident will not. And based on these elements, you can find that certain incidents, certain stories will make news, just because of the timeliness factor, proximity factor, recency factor, oddity and weirdness, that is one factor, and prominence factor. Then the most important factor is human interest and drama and conflict and consequences, which I have missed out here. So here we will find out human interest and drama. I have already told you, and it is related to emotions even. So there is an emotional appeal to a news. Okay, somebody's great tragedy, how can it be a news? But again, that emotional appeal is there. So emotions are there. It triggers the emotion, it will make a news. And it might also be related to human interest because it triggers our emotion, our sorrowness, our joyfulness, our even some news is related to our aspiration. Somebody has succeeded a lot, achieved a lot, that will make a news because of related to human interest aspiration. Somebody achieved ranked first in that is you say uh, you say the HSLC or HS. Okay, so that will make a news because of the human interest element. It is related to aspiration and ambition of the person. Okay, and also any technology related innovation will make a news because anything related to progress will make a news. Okay, that is also related to human aspirations and also countries' aspirations, that will make a news. Part of human interest. Any conflict and consequence will also make a news. Conflict and consequences. Consequences. So, increase income tax will affect many people. So, this announcement has a consequences, right? So, it will make a news. Income tax has been increased. Will make a news just because it will affect many people. Okay, so it has a consequences. Any disaster, calamities, epidemics uh, will come under the conflict, and it also has severe consequences for the society. Will make a news. Okay, you see that man versus man, men are fighting, and also they got themselves injured. Will also make a news. So there are conflicts: man versus man versus nature, man versus environment, then man versus even animal. Hmm. This will make some news. We talk about animal corridors and eco-sensitive zone that has been making news, and that is a man versus animal story. Okay, man versus environment story. is also there. We talk about development versus environment. So when development is not ethical, it will again create disparities in the society. It will create damage. So you also see um, why flood has occurred. So you also see just because of the mining, coal mining, it has occurred, and it's very apparent. So that is also a kind of, you see, um, men versus, yeah, development versus environment story. So okay, like this way. So we would like to understand the newsworthiness of any event. Okay, so what will make a story newsworthy? What will make an incident newsworthy? Okay, so anything else? You're smiling. Okay, anything else to question? Okay, so in news literacy, it is also very important for you to understand the sources. Like in information literacy, what is important for you to understand the sources. Here in news literacy, you will also understand some of the sources. What could be possible sources? Okay, so you see, you can identify as you are a university student. University itself is a source of news, right? Port places. We talk about beat reporting here. Okay, beat reporting is a, a special domain where certain sources are located. So we call it court reporting, we call city reporting, political reporting, economic and financial reporting, development reporting, which is based on the specificity of sources available in one location. Okay. So based on the accessibility of the sources, you will determine your bit. So you can access to court, okay, then you better you go for court reporting. You can access to local people, even this municipal board and this the panchayat office, and also other local institutions. You have a good contact, you report on local beat, and you have access to those government offices, those ministries, and you also have knowledge about how things are going. So you better go for political bit. Okay, you have understanding about financial um, institutions, how they are running, and about financial insecurities, about different policies. You know how to interpret economic policies. You go for economic bit. Okay, like that you go for development bit. If you want to report uh, like kind of development, the type of development, so whether it is haphazard, it is ethical, so how it is beneficial for people, what is required, what are the challenges. Okay, you can go for development bit. Sociology student can go for development bit, right? So you can also go for, you see, that's a social cultural bit. So literature students, you also report on any literature. So that is literature event, art event, which is happening across the campus. Or you read a book, you can also write a book review and all. Okay, so that is also equivalent to socio cultural bit. uh, People also say it's a literature bit, but okay, so socio cultural literature bit, we'll say art bit. Okay, so based on the availability and accessibility of the sources, so you can determine your bit. Okay, hence source is very important. Who will be your sources for the story? That's a part of news literacy. Okay, so whether courtroom will be your sources, police will be your sources. Okay, and any crime incident happened, there are crime reporters. Crime reporters deal with a lot of difficult situations. So they have to navigate through difficult situations. So not everybody can be crime reporters. Okay, because the kind of you see, the consequences they have to face every time. So they have to be very alert, and they are supposed to have two, three vigilant accompanying them at every time. Okay, so it's very difficult to go for crime beat. Okay, so like that way, so you can determine your beat based on the available sources. Whether you can go for, okay, there are government agencies. There are some government agencies that can be very important source for any news houses, news channels, media outlet, because they usually get the news from news agencies. Huh. So news agencies will usually cover a lot of stories, and these news outlets get the stories from news agencies like a Reuters, we have AP, Associated Press, we have PTI. Okay, so we get the stories, newspapers, and even media outlets will get the stories from those news agencies, and then they sometimes they reproduce without having any ground reporting. They reproduce the same stories because it is already been done by news agencies. So they will get the stories and they will publish, they will broadcast that they will do. Okay, there are also press releases and press conferences. Okay, so press release, when there is press releases and press conferences, what you usually have, so you will get an idea what is happening. Journalists will look for some information. So some local press release are being managed by local government. You said a panchayat office and all, municipal board. They will manage local press release or press conferences, and they will make journalists equip with or to inform with the latest queries, latest happening of the government, some of the government quote, okay, and the information that they require through press release. So that is a very important source. Press release and press conference, attending press release, press conferences, PR officials. They will always keep you update about the latest happenings in one organization. Always have a contact with the PR officials. Because so we usually suggest our journalists. That's a part of news literacy. As you are in digital media literacy, you also need to know about news and how to write news. Even for digital, like digital platforms. So, as I have told you, anybody and everybody could be a journalist nowadays. But how to cultivate the source is very, very important, right? And hence, in order to cultivate the sources, first you need to understand where you will find those sources. Okay, public relation officials can be sources, universities could be sources, notice boards in the communities can be sources from where you will get lot of news from the notice boards, which are hung around. Police can be very important sources. Huh. Then you also have art group can be very important sources. NGOs can be important sources. They might have uh, some project to share with you on which you can report. So the kind of activities they are being carried out in that communities. Okay, any kind of schemes which they have been executing. So how they are dealing with the communities for last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, any success stories which they can share with you and you can report. Okay, so like that way you are supposed to locate and cultivate the sources for your story. Hmm. Anything, any new book has been released, you make a review and you write. So that can be very important sources. Hmm. Like political parties can be very important sources. Hmm. Like that way, it's important to cultivate the sources. Okay, you understand? And hope that you have understood whatever I'm disseminating. So I'll not extend much because it's already 1:30. Yeah. Okay then. Uh, and any questions from your end? No, no questions. Okay, so I'll recap what I have discussed today because this will be quite beneficial for you. Recap, you write down. First is the concept of literacy. What is literacy is very important. What is literacy? Autonomous and ideological perspective of literacy. Those four elements of literacy: artifact, content, format, social support mechanism, and even the actor himself. 4 or 5 elements are very, very important. Then about nature of literacy, what we have said. Okay. Then we'll discuss different types of literacies here and why digital media literacy is important. That's a very uh, that significant question: why you are learning digital media literacy? What is the importance of digital media literacy? Hmm. Okay, that is important. Then you have different forms of literacy which will come under digital media literacy: computer literacy, information literacy, CMC, and news literacy, which we have discussed. In the next class, we will be discussing about other forms of literacy. Okay, fine.